Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
Hello, I'm Sean Kelly, and welcome to this special edition of Behind the Curtain. The United Franchise Group franchises, and it's very exciting. Mr. Ray Titus said that he's proud to announce United Franchise Group's newest franchise brand, Graze Craze. Graze Craze, Graze Craze, Graze Craze, Graze Craze, Graze Craze. Join the Graze Craze. Join the Graze Craze. Graze Craze, Graze Craze, Graze Craze. Graze Craze franchise opportunity. Graze Craze, it's the latest addition to the franchise lineup of United Franchise Group out of West Palm Beach, Florida. I'm not an attorney. If I were an attorney, you'd already have been billed $1,500 by now. This is just my opinion. I have not ever been known to be wrong, but conceivably it could happen. I am not affiliated with UFG or United Franchise Group. Mama raised me better than that. Rebuttals, corrections are invited. You can send all viewpoints to unhappyfranchisee@gmail.com. You can leave a comment, named or anonymous, on any of the relevant pages of unhappyfranchisee.com. That aforementioned website there, you can download any documentation or this actual document. Graze Craze franchise disclosure document that I'm going to be reviewing here was filed June 1st, 2021 with the state of Wisconsin. It was filed by General Counsel Mark D. Nichols, and it was signed off on by Mr. Ray Titus, who signed there and said, "I do hereby swear and attest that everything in this document is true and correct to the best of my extensive knowledge." The investment here listed on here is $125,000 to $400,000. As always, do your own thinking, do your own research. The term of this is 35 years, so if you sign this document, you are committing to paying royalties and fees on charcuterie sales up till 2056. Think about that. I don't know if Mr. Ray Titus actually has read this document. I don't think anybody except for me has really read this document very carefully. A little disappointed. This is one of the most typo-ridden, sloppy franchise documents that I've seen in 35 years. Everybody uses boilerplate. You don't expect that they're going to be creating a document from scratch with all new words for the Graze Craze, but for God's sake, at least use search and replace to check. This document is obviously a Signorama document that has been repurposed. Signorama is incorrectly referred to as the franchisor 29 times. Financial statement section in the back is labeled Experamax financial statements. Reference to franchise NDAs from prior years. They don't have any prior franchisees, so that's from another document. Graze Craze store opening dates are incorrectly listed as 2021, which would have been in the future from the time that this was written and filed. So unless Mr. Ray Titus and John Hayes are claiming to have a time machine, which actually wouldn't surprise me, they probably meant 2020. I don't understand how this bastion of franchise professionalism with their own entire legal team and interns from Titus Center of Palm Beach Atlantic University can't manage to have somebody proofread this, but it certainly doesn't bode well for the amount of attention and care that they are investing in this franchise opportunity. The misleading earnings claims of item 19, financial representation, just underscores the complete lack of experience track record of this experimental concept. They didn't even have one store open for a full year. The flagship store that was open for 9 months reported 9 months of sales and costs. 6 months for the second store. The third store is 2.5 months. The founder's flagship store provided free delivery of the entire Oklahoma City market, which is a vastly larger territory than a franchisee is going to start. They're selling food boxes delivered to the home during an unprecedented pandemic when restaurants and stores were closed. The costs don't include debt service, royalties and marketing fees. Their cost structure is based on opening up in strip centers in Oklahoma City. Absence of experience and support is really evident in the item 2, which is the place where they're supposed to list all the people and their experience, years of experience, or expertise. Pages of management executives in here. 26 executives listed. Execs with food service experience, 0. Execs with Graze Craze experience, 0. Execs assigned exclusively to Graze Craze, 0. Executives within 150 miles of Graze Craze's Oklahoma stores, 0. I don't know this, but I would bet you that the number of those executives who have actually been to a Graze Craze store is probably pretty close to 0. Executives directly involved in selling franchises for UFG, 24 of 26. The management's all loaded up with people who are going to sell the franchise, and nobody, not one, 0, who are there for supporting franchisee, develop a new product, how to market this thing. Pretty startling. One mention of hospitality experience was under the bio of John Fleming. John Fleming was director of sales and marketing for Dirtfish, a hospitality company in Snoqualmie, Washington. Odd that a hospitality company would have the word dirt in its name. Turns out Dirtfish is not a hospitality company. It's a race car driving instructional company that teaches people how to drive in the dirt and the mud. Pretty cool company. It's an awesome name, Dirtfish. Somebody had to have decided that they were going to falsify John Fleming's background to make it sound like there was some food service experience. That makes me a little wary about the honesty of a company that would falsify somebody's resume right in the FDD.
You humbug!
You're a very bad man.
35-year contract term. We don't know where the world's going to go, but one thing's for certain, you're going to be paying royalties on charcuterie boards 2056. Go back to the audited financial statements that are at the end of the FDD, and you'll see the heading Experamax financial statement, and it indicates that the only tangible asset that they've invested in this company is $100,000 in cash that a member has placed there. That doesn't mean that they haven't even taken it out before the time you get there. But that's not even equivalent to what it takes to open one location in the franchise disclosure document. It's not the place for hyperbole or hype or puffery. They make statements like grazing is a food trend that is sweeping the nation. I'd like to see some solid documentation that that's true. At least show me your broom. The Graze Craze is the innovator in this sweeping the nation food trend. They put cold cuts into a box. They put it out on a tray. There's not any specially packaging, delivery methods, or anything. Speaking of carelessly batted about, here's an ad for the first employee and operations consultant. Graze Craze, the newest brand at United Franchising Group, is an already proven concept with 5 corporately run locations. They didn't even get their own name right. It's United Franchise Group. There are a few concepts that I've seen that are less proven than this charcuterie one. Charcuterie boards are a $378 million industry. I hate to tell you, but charcuterie boards are a product. They're not an industry. The fact that people are already, they're spending $378 million on Lunchables and those little bags of Hormel circles that you can toss on your frozen pizza does not mean that people are going to call cutely named franchise locations to be delivered. That need is already pretty much being met by people who sell food at reasonable prices like grocery stores. All right, so we talked about what was in the FDD. Now let's take a look at a couple of things that are not in the FDD. This is from the grazecraze.com website. Graze Craze was founded in 2018 by an Air Force veteran. She was then recruited as the director of operations for a multi-million-dollar food distribution company. After a successful 2-year test market across the country, she decided to launch Graze Craze. With over 24 stores scheduled to open in 2020 across the United States. Online, on LinkedIn, and YouTube videos, the person identified as the founder of Graze Craze is named Carrie Lee Sylvester. According to Oklahoma Incorporation records, she's the one who owns the corporation that owns the affiliate stores, or at least she's an officer. at Graze Craze Inc. What's her role with Graze Craze? She's the one with the experience and with the vision. She's not disclosed in the FDD at all. Her name is not used in the materials. Her national food experience is not mentioned in her extensive LinkedIn profile. There's no mention anywhere of this 2-year national test. The website says that Graze Craze was founded in 2018, but in the FDD there's no mention of any activity before April 2020. And the website mentions 24 stores scheduled to open in 2020. Scheduled, like had dates. There's no mention of that anywhere in the FDD and no explanation of it anywhere else. What happened to those stores and what happened to Carrie Sylvester? So in summary, Graze Craze has a typo-ridden Frankenstein-like FDD and FA pieced together from other documents with the name still in it. It's an unproven concept in an unproven market. There's a founder who's not disclosed or named. She seems to be the only one with any experience. There's no dedicated experienced management or support personnel. There are many false and or misleading representations about the sales and the cost figures given other key factors. Scarcely capitalized, yet they require a commitment of 35 years till 2056. Bizarre things like the insistence that hashtag cheese plate is proof that there's a market for a charcuterie franchise. It looks like interns from Palm Beach Atlantic University were allowed to put stuff up unsupervised. And then there's this mysterious, misrepresented company history. When was it founded? Was there a 2-year test? Was there a food service person who had experience that put this thing together? This whole thing is so sloppy and so shaky that it's almost embarrassing. Should be embarrassing. So what is going on here with United Franchise Group? What, these guys, they got 1,400, 1,600 franchisees in 15 countries or 80 countries. Why would they throw such a sloppy piece of garbage into an envelope and actually send it to state registration authorities saying that they've looked this over when obviously nobody's looked it over, except for me? Well, it could be that they've got a convention coming up. I don't know this for a fact. They got this big wall and they got a convention coming up that they're doing in Florida, and they have a couple of brands that are dropping off the wall. Super Green Solutions is insolvent and they're already pretty much gone. They're off the roster. And Experamax sold 2 franchises last year. They got an 80-something failure rate. They've got 66% and growing loan defaults with the SBA. And maybe it's that they've got to find another logo to stick on that wall and be able to tell people, hey, man, we're growing. We got exciting things going. All you Trans World Business Advisors, where do you get a hold of this one? Graze Craze. It's sweeping the country. They're going to be offering brokers a chance to, hey, you can go out and sell this and earn big commissions on this Graze Craze. You want to invest in this? Go ahead, but investors be crazy who invest in the Graze Craze here. And the brokers and the salespeople who are going to be pushing this thing seem to me to be greasy, which is greedy and crazy and crazy all together. So there's Graze Craze. Buy it at your own risk.
Now as through this world I ramble, I see lots of funny men. Some will rob you with a 6-gun, some with a fountain pen. Some will rob you with a 6-gun, some with a fountain pen.